Hello, my name is Greg Sweeney, P1 Safety Director. By now, you have seen and been exposed to P1's policies and procedures. We take safety to the core and want you to have all the tools and resources to go home safe every day. We don't believe safety is a priority because priorities change. Core values do not. In recent years, we have found that nearly 50% of our accidents have come from employees that have been with us for 5 months or less. In light of our findings, we have developed a refresher orientation. This orientation discusses trending accidents and several high hazard topics to help reinforce your safety and well being. The goal is zero accidents. P1 has a world class safety culture. You are a key ingredient in making our world class safety culture a success. This is only achievable by everyone participating. Remember, no matter how new you are to P1, you are family. Thank you for your contributions and being a part of P1's world class safety culture. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call a member of the safety team. You can find our numbers by scanning the QR code near the end of this orientation.
Accident reporting. Any accidents on a job site must be reported quickly. It doesn't matter how minor the accident might appear to be. It is important that you inform your foreman and the safety department. Safe job sites are of the utmost importance here at P1. We give everyone stop work authority. Every employee is responsible for reporting any accident, personal or property, and near misses to their supervisor. Failure to report any accident will result in disciplinary action. This can be a write-up to termination depending on the severity or multiple occurrences of not reporting. All P1 safety employees are available for questions or concerns. You can find our information by scanning the QR code on your hard hat. Sprains and strains, material handling. Improper lifting is bad and leads to back injuries. This is a physical job. Practice and develop good lifting habits. Think before you lift, evaluate the load. If there's enough room, your first option should always be to use material handling equipment. If you have to lift something, lift it right. Position yourself to keep the natural curves of your back. Keep the weight as close to your body as possible, also known as the green zone, and lift with your legs in a smooth motion. Do not twist when you lift. Turn your whole body to move with the load once the lift is completed. If it is a heavy or bulky load or above your lifting capacity, get some help. P1's policy is if the load is 50 pounds or more, lifting assistance is required. Slip, trips, and falls. Slip, trips, and falls are the most common fatal injuries in the construction industry. There are many ways to prevent these type of accidents. To avoid slips, you should wear proper footwear, clean up wet spills such as water, oil, and grease, and report poor site conditions to your direct foreman. To prevent trips, clean up the area you are working in as you go. Do not leave messes for others to work around, potentially get hurt on, or others to clean up. Ensure good footing by placing your eyes on surface before you start walking. The last but equally important is falls. Falls can be prevented by using various methods that include guardrails, fall restraint, or fall arrest devices. Falls are not limited to just heights from buildings or aerial lifts. It can also be from ladders or poor housekeeping. Fall protection. Falls are the number one killer of construction workers. Fall protection starts at 6 feet to the working level unless the site has a more stringent policy. It's a fact anytime you work at heights, you need a fall prevention or protection system in place. No excuses. This can be fall prevention, fall restraint, or fall arrest. Fall prevention involves guardrails or barriers that stop workers from reaching the edge of excessive heights. Fall restraint prevents workers from reaching the edge of excessive heights by means of fully extending a lanyard or self-retracting lanyard so that you cannot fall. This method requires an anchorage point to hold 3,000 pounds. Fall protection ABCs. When you can't use a guardrail system or fall restraint system, you still need to protect yourself from a fall. Usually it's a personal fall arrest system, full body harness, locking snap hooks, and lanyard. These are all parts of the fall arrest system that need to be compatible. Tie off to a proper anchorage point. For a fall arrest system, an anchorage point needs to withstand 5,000 pounds of force for each person tied off to it. Imagine an anchorage point for one person being strong enough to suspend a full-size pickup truck, and you'll be pretty close to the 5,000-pound mark. Fall protection, general. Fall protection components can create their own hazards if not utilized as intended. That's why it's critical we always inspect them thoroughly before using. If you find a defect in your fall arrest system while inspecting it, take it out of service immediately. Report these deficiencies to your supervisor. Wear the fall arrest harness properly to minimize the shock to your body in case of a fall. The harness should be snug around the legs as well as over the shoulders and across the chest. Anytime you must perform work at heights and have to tie off, be sure to have a rescue plan in place before starting work. Performing a self-rescue is ideal. However, there are times when that will not work and you will need the assistance of other workers. Aerial lifts. When you're in an aerial lift, the guardrails have one purpose, keeping you inside. Keep the gate or the chain latched anytime you're in a lift. Many manufacturers recommend that we use a fall restraint system. These lifts have built-in anchor points for attaching your fall restraint lanyard. Lifts are an essential tool in our line of work, which means they get used often. We want to ensure that everyone who operates them is capable of doing so safely. Here are some more equally important tips about lifts that we think you should be aware of. Become familiar with the lift that you're operating. You should be familiar with the work environment and the capabilities of that lift. Walk the path of travel and inspect it. Beware of what information that the manufacturing operating manual provides. This should be available on the lift and legible to read. If it is not, do not operate until one is available for that specific lift. Simply inspecting the area can help you to identify any potential hazards such as drop-off, poles, uneven or soft surface, pipe structures, ductwork, electrical conduit, and even vehicle or pedestrian traffic. Many of these hazards can be eliminated through proper planning. You should also learn the load capacity of the lift. Can you have two people on it? How much can it hold without material? What about when the basket is extended? You can refer to the manufacturer operating manual for this information. Prior to operating any lift, an inspection needs to be done. This involves both visual and physical inspections of any components on the lift. When visually inspecting the lift, you can walk around it and confirm that there is no structural damage to the guardrails or the base of the lift. Other items you are looking for are the quality of the tires and that there is no leaking from the hydraulic lines. When physically inspecting the lift, you must do a function test from the ground controls and in the basket of the lift. It is important to tag out any lift that does not pass these inspections and report it to your supervisor immediately. Remember that in telescopic and articulating boom lifts, you need a harness and a retractable lanyard. Harnesses and retractable lanyards are only required in scissor lifts when the general contractor or customer says so. Ladders. We believe ladders are a valuable tool, but can be a dangerous tool. Ladders account for nearly 2,000 injuries every single day. In recent years, about one worker loses their life due to ladders every day. Sometimes ladders are not the right tool for the job. You might need to substitute a ladder for a scaffold or aerial lift. But if you must use a ladder, choose the correct ladder by asking these questions. How much weight does the ladder need to hold? How much working space is available to set a ladder up? Do I have a safe working environment to set a ladder up? Once you have answered these questions, you must inspect the ladder that fits your specific task. An inspection of your ladder will include looking for cracks, bends, and splits on the side rails, rungs, and steps of the ladders, bolts and rivets being secure, oil or other grease on the surface of the ladder, locking bars working correctly and are in good condition, and more recently with lean safe ladders that the locking tabs are still intact. Remember, step ladders or A-frame ladders are not designed to be stepped off of. Extension ladders should be set up at a 4-to-1 pitch and extend 3 feet above the landing. You must also secure your extension ladder at the top or the bottom to prevent displacement. Ladder safe work practices. About half the falls in construction are from ladders, and almost always because we're trying to save time with unnecessary shortcuts, like overreaching and carrying tools and material in your hand while climbing up or down a ladder. When you feel yourself starting to overreach, stop. Take the extra couple of seconds to get down and move the ladder. Remember these safe work practices when working off of a ladder. Keep 3 points of contact for stability. Always face the ladder when ascending or descending. Keep your body centered on the ladder and never reach out beyond your belt buckle. Never stand on the top 2 steps of a step ladder. P1's policy is that you will receive a 2-day suspension if found on either top 2 steps and termination of employment if found a second time on the top 2 steps. Lacerations. Lacerations occur too often in construction and are mostly caused by contact with a sharp edge of equipment or tool, from pinch points between heavy objects or being caught between pieces of moving equipment. We can protect ourselves from these hazards by understanding the equipment being used. Take time to identify these dangerous locations so we can avoid contacting them through good body positioning and proper hand placement. Lacerations also can occur when shortcuts are taken by not operating tools as they are designed to be used or not using the best tool for the task because of convenience. Basic preventive measures might include pre-planning, communication, personal protective equipment, using the right tool for the job, and body positioning. SOI checklist. All of these injuries, along with many others, can be prevented by being proactive in our pre-task planning. Many tools are used for the work we do here at P1, but the first tool we use each day is our SOI checklist. It stands for Stop, Observe, Implement. This is the P1 way of identifying any potential hazards in our work area and implementing a plan to eliminate them before we start work. This yellow trifold is simple to fill out and is required to be completed by all workers on the crew before starting any task. The front right side has a place for the date, job name, location of the work area, and the foreman in charge. The front middle has contact information for P1 safety. The front left side has a place for you to print your name and a place to initial after lunch to show that you acknowledge the hazards and how to prevent them. The back has a checklist that helps you identify these tasks, what hazards are present, and how to prevent them. Check each box that fits your job site. PPE. PPE is the last line of defense. While working on any P1 project, our minimum mandatory PPE requirement includes hard hat, safety glasses, level 4 cut resistant gloves, shirt with a minimum 3-inch sleeve, long pants, and work boots with a sturdy leather upper. Some projects may require more PPE such as high visibility vests, steel-toed boots, respirator, or hearing protection. Some tasks may require some additional PPE such as Tyvek suit, face shield, goggles, chemical gloves, or other PPE as needed. P1's PPE policy goes above OSHA's requirements, such as our glove policy. Years ago, lacerations accounted for nearly 60% of our OSHA recordable accidents. We implemented a glove policy that produced a huge decrease to hand injuries. Excavations. Before working around an excavation, the competent person must perform a manual and visual inspection. An easy way for you to remember safe work practices for excavation is to remember these numbers. 2 feet is for how far the spoil piles need to be away from the edge of the trench. 3 feet is how much a trench ladder or extension ladder must be over the top of the excavation for safe access. 4 feet has 2 meanings. The first one is, at 4 feet, you will need some way of accessing and egressing an excavation. The second meaning is a P1 policy. At 4 feet, a permit needs to be filled out and submitted every day. 5 feet is the depth that OSHA and P1 require some measure of protection while inside the excavation. 6 feet is the depth that P1 requires a plan to reduce the exposure to a fall in the event there are no visible signs of an excavation. 20 feet is the max depth an excavation can be before it needs to be engineered. Finally, at 25 feet is the maximum distance you are allowed to be from a ladder or means of egress at all times. Confined space. Confined spaces are an incredibly dangerous part of our jobs in construction. Confined spaces are defined by three things. They are large enough to enter and perform work in. They have a limited or restricted means of entering and exiting the space. They are not designed for continuous employee occupancy. Some examples of confined spaces that P1 has been around are manholes, below-grade vaults, and elevator shafts. These confined spaces present hazards such as oxygen deficiency or enriched atmosphere, combustible particulates, toxic particulates, and electrical or mechanical. Other hazards might be noise or temperature. Non-permit required confined spaces do not contain any of these hazards or any other hazards capable of causing death or serious physical harm. We must test every confined space before starting to ensure your safety. Confined space, safe entry. We must have a safe entry into every confined space. To accomplish this goal, we must identify and classify our confined space. Establish a trained and authorized team. Test the atmosphere to identify hazards. If any, fill out our P1 permit. That is a requirement. Isolate the area around the confined space from other external hazards such as idling vehicles or overhead work. Equip the space, which might include a blower to help ventilate the space or lighting to help perform work safely. P1 has a non-entry rescue policy when it comes to our rescue planning. If the need for medical emergency services arise, it is okay to dial 911. We will want to exhaust every resource first, but medical emergencies do happen. Electrical safety. OSHA has a heavy focus on electrocution, so electrical safety is one of our most important topics to cover in safety training. Some of the biggest hazards are incorrectly using tools or extension cords. One major hazard is an extension cord that has gashes, cuts, or that are missing ground prongs. You should never use an extension cord as a rope. Never use a cord or a tool to carry the tool. Some of OSHA's most common citations include coverage not over outlets or spaces with exposed wire. OSHA will also cite items stored 36 inches or 3 feet in front of an electrical panel or emergency shutoff switch. Ensure you are using a GFCI or a three-way with a GFCI. NFPA 70E. NFPA 70E is the standard we use to protect ourselves doing live electrical work. It is to be used by qualified personnel only. The most important rule you can follow is if the equipment can be de-energized, do so. If it will risk the lives of other people, such as a hospital, you need to have a qualified person follow the correct procedure to work on the piece of equipment live. That qualified person will follow NFPA 70E safety practice to the letter. This person will also need to fill out P1's Energized Electrical Work Permit. They are also responsible for inspecting their 70E PPE. Also, use the correctly rated PPE for the voltage they will be working on. Lockout Tagout. Lockout tagout plays an important role in working on equipment. Lockout tagout devices must be durable and withstand the environment to which they are exposed. Lockout tagout labels must be legible and not deteriorate in working conditions. Lockout tagout devices must be substantial enough to prevent early or accidental removal and removal without excessive force. When lockout tagout is used, every employee in the crew must attach their own personal lock. Heat and hydration. Heat-related illness is the exposure to a hot working environment or high temperatures. Examples of heat illness is heat rash, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Everyone reacts to the heat differently. You know your body better than anyone. Make sure to look out for signs and symptoms of heat-related illness and get help. Do not go off by yourself without letting someone know. Take breaks in cool areas. The best solution to help out with heat-related illness is to stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water and electrolyte drinks. We offer overtime in the warehouse. Caffeine drinks are not considered hydration, so make sure to drink plenty of water. SDS and GHS HAZCOM. There are times that you might have to look up a chemical or material property. This resource called Safety Data Sheet or SDS is provided to you at no cost through the QR code on your hard hat. Ensure that you are following the Global Harmonized System or GHS standard by following directions for each pictogram. This includes storage and transportation. QR code SDS safety and fleet contacts. During your first orientation, you should have been given a sticker that goes on your hard hat. This QR code connects you with your safety team, your fleet manager, and the number for you to acquire in SDS. Again, you must report any and all accidents. This includes property damage and bodily injury to your supervisor and to the safety department as soon as it happens. It does not matter how minor of an accident it is, the safety department will use the information to track trends in safety. Peer Connector. Peer Connectors is P1's program to assist you in your time of need. If you have gambling, drug, alcohol, depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues that prevent you from working safely, please reach out to someone that has this sticker. These individuals, as well as the safety department and HR, have been trained to assist you in getting help. They are not therapists, but they are caring people that are dedicated to helping you get better. Please reach out at any time if you need assistance or have questions.
This is Don Campbell, Vice President for P1. First off, I want to thank you for taking the time today to complete your 60-day orientation and welcome you again to the P1 family. Remember, safety first, quality always. Safety is truly a core value at P1, and we do want to protect our most valuable assets, which is you.